Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to part 2 of the 2020 Senate election primer. And we will start diving in for the 10 states, 10 elections today. Good evening, everyone. So, let's get ready to dive right in. Now, first up, we have Iowa. And nice middle of the road state. First candidate. And I guess I should go ahead and prime all of this with saying I'm going to try to streamline it a little bit more so it's a little faster to digest this time. And this is just going to be as bipartisan as humanly possible. So I'm just going to go through, talk about, the about section, the big ideas behind the campaign, and then move on. This will include all candidates, not including, on the ballot, not including write-ins for the most part. So we shall get rolling here. And again, this is Iowa. And this is incumbent Senator Chuck Grassley. So he's been in office for quite a bit. Let's see. Let's take a look at his a bit of a bio here. Don't need that. All right. So Grassley was born in 1933 in Butler County, Iowa. Came of age in the Great Depression. Ah, yes. Grassley with an old John Deere tractor. And let's see. Extraordinary work ethic and passion. Began growing corn and soybeans. Ah, so he's a soy farmer to supply those soy boys. Here we go. So, Grassley was first elected to Iowa State Legislature in 1958. And then he moved to the U.S. House of Representatives in 1974. And Grassley was put into the Senate in 1980. So he's a lifelong fellow. So there you go. So he's been in the U.S. Senate for longer than your host here has been alive. Oh, UCY Beta 1. Hello there. See, closed a red ice stream for this. Oh, well. I don't know how much entertainment you'll truly get. This is going to be a little bit on the dull side, but I'm trying to be fairly impartial until I get to one of the later states. I'm sure you can guess which one. So Iowa's primary, not primary, the principal opponent for Grassley is Franken here. Was it Tom Frank? Mike Franken. So let's see. Oh, good. He's a lathe worker growing up in Sioux City, Iowa. Sioux Center, Iowa. I guess they have too many Sioux there. Ah, yes. So he ended up as an admiral at the end of his career in the Navy. And has in these uncertain times with our democracy attacked, Iowans need a Admiral Mike Franken for Senate. Yeah, talks about Russian aggression, so kind of a typical Democrat here. So nothing terribly exciting. Let's see, take a quick look at issues. Fighting for democracy from home and abroad. The Franken agenda to enhance the lives of older Iowans. Commitment to fairness and equality. Keeping the U.S. safe and from... keeping us safe from global threats. Yeah. Healthier Iowa, so healthcare, rural Iowa, and agriculture. Nothing terribly interesting there. Oh, you see why it might be the one. Oh, you watched the first vid, covered your state. Well, hopefully you found an extra candidate or two that you weren't aware of on the ballot. So, Franken is endorsed by lots of state office holders, state representatives, and senators. Nobody really exciting. Here we go. Here's where it gets a little more interesting. So he's been endorsed by the Brady campaign, so gun control advocates, Jewish Democrats, Iowa Unity Coalition, the LCV organization, whatever the hell that is, and Laborers International Union of North America, as well as 314 Action. And a load of community activists. So there, that's Franken for Senate. And that moves us on hurtling into Kansas. So this is Jerry Moran. And he is an incumbent senator for the state of Kansas. And apparently doing Down syndrome roundtable host. So that's good on him. And it looks like we have the same damn problem that we did with Marco Rubio. With just a terrible website. So, Kansas first elected Jerry Moran to the U.S. Senate in 2010. So he's only been in there for 12 years, so that's a 2-term senator. Leading advocate for protecting and preserving the special way of life in Kansas. A long history of opposing reckless spending in Washington. So, and my co-host, the cat, has showed up. Yowling, of course. Committee assignments. Here's where it's more important. Appropriations Committee. Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee. Education, Labor, Pensions Committee. Indian Affairs Committee. And the ranking member of the Veterans Affairs Committee. And let's take a look at his issues. Oh, he's got a whole slew of them. So he's interested in agriculture, aviation, the economy, education, energy, entrepreneurship and innovation, family values, healthcare, hunger, immigration, law enforcement. Kansas law enforcement officers work tirelessly to keep our community safe. Well, congratulations, you stated the obvious. He's pro-life, mental health care, national security, Second Amendment. And since our democracy has stood strong, Americans have enjoyed liberties unparalleled in the world, including the fundamental right to keep and bear arms. Transportation, Olympic sexual abuse investigation. Now that's actually kind of a new one. So that's actually kind of interesting. So, going through. No, nothing about endorsements for Jerry Moran. Moving on. So, Mark Holland, Reverend Mark Holland. Always got to love when you get individuals saying what they have as far as titles. He's got a Robert F. Kennedy quote here. That's lovely. So let's take a look at a quick bio for him. Fourth generation Kansan, born home, committed to home values and community service. Never thought that it was fair that my mom was a teacher at my school and my dad was a preacher at my church. I never got in trouble. Well, whoop-de-doo. What have you done in life? Kansas, Topeka, and Lenexa. That's nice. Called to the ministry. Went off to the Southern Methodist University in Dallas. Went to seminary at Iliff School of Theology in Denver. So he's been a minister his entire life for the most part. And let's see. Got elected as mayor. Oversaw a $2.8 billion in investment. More jobs in Wyandotte County. So, okay, so he was the mayor of Kansas City. So that's a little bit on him, but he has at least some life outside of politics. His issues are the economy, public education, healthcare, reproductive rights, environment, voting rights, work for justice, and we live in a great state, nation, yada, yada, yada. Teach honest history and how far we've come, fall short. We can only heal broken relationships to build a more just nation. Okay, that is the... So really it's work for social justice. That's a big vacuous statement. Campaign finance reform, so he too's going after the political action committee stuff, and stop criminalizing social issues. That, again, vacuous, empty, and no endorsements. So he's probably running a very one-sided campaign, so that's going to be it. So we have also in Kansas David Graham, and I believe, yes, he is the Libertarian candidate for Senate. Let's see, proven track record of a lawyer, reduced size of government, criminal justice reform, much to do with nonviolent offenders. Okay, smarter national defense, talking about proxy wars. Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. Got a Bachelor's of Administration, or Bachelor of Arts at Auburn University of Topeka, and a law degree of University of Kansas. He's practicing lawyer. And apparently he had a nickname of Senator back in high school. Yes, Kat, you're quite right. This is, while not a bad website, really not all that informative on the candidate issues or endorsements. Yeah, we're lucky we're kind of trucking right along. So the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And the big one is Rand Paul, obviously, incumbent. I'm sure we all know Rand fairly well, but let's get into, let's see, Senator Paul, MD, leading advocates for liberty, yada, yada, yada. Devoted husband living in Bowling Green, where he practiced ophthalmology and eye surgery for 18 years. So, a practical man. Been married 25 years. His wife is from Russellville. They've got 3 sons. That's nice. Grew up in Texas, went to Baylor University, and graduated from Duke Medical School in 1988. And then eye surgery at Georgia Baptist Medical Center in Atlanta. His issues are America First, the Second Amendment, parent rights and school choice, criminal justice, life, fire Fauci. So this is actually an interesting bit of news that is one of his campaign platforms. Interesting. We're going to take a little closer look at that. Putting Kentucky first by serving Kentuckians, fighting for the Bill of Rights, infrastructure, spending and debt, term limits. This is a nice, fresh policy bit that I've seen with Senator Paul. Taxes, auditing the Fed, and foreign policy and defense. You are correct, UCY Beta 1. We are not in Kansas anymore. We've got Rand Paul versus probably Toto. So, yeah, the fire Fauci bit. Dr. Fauci has abandoned science and embraced theatrics at the expense of our freedom. Thanks to public records, email records, we know for certain Dr. Fauci has been ignoring good advice and lying about everything from masks to contagiousness of the virus. It is time to say enough is enough and fire Fauci. That's kind of interesting. All right, so his opposition is Charles Booker. He's definitely using a lot more advertisement. Kentucky deserves a New Deal. So he's invoking the sentiments of generations that really have no more influence on the ballot now than they used to. Just interesting. Ensuring life, freedom, and prosperity for all. Like far too many Kentuckians, Charles has had to face the world with the odds stacked against him. The odds he fought growing up in Texas, Kentucky. Kentucky's zip code were vast, defied them, and survived. Wow. Hey, Prime Night, welcome. It's a drier stream than normal, but, well, it's a primer going through all the candidates in the U.S., non-write-in candidates. Let's see what old Charles is. Let's see, born and raised in Kentucky, so he's using that against Rand Paul, lifelong resident of Louisville's West End. Growing up in one of the poorest zip codes, experienced poverty firsthand, saw his mom skip meals just so he could have enough, homeless, ration of insulin, because he's a type 1 diabetic. I think we can see that. Let's see, first in his family to graduate law school, but not the first one to graduate college. So there's an interesting little difference. Let's see, he's director of Administrative Services for the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. Okay, becoming, 2018, the youngest black state legislator in 90 years. And, okay, shouldn't really have much to do other than he was determined at a young age. And did a Senate run in 2020 against Mitch McConnell. And now he's going back for 2022 against Rand Paul. So his priorities are, with his Kentucky New Deal, quality health care, protect Kentucky children, support family farms, aging with dignity, cost cuts for all American families, stand up for Kentucky coal miners, end endless wars and invest at home, fully funded public education, support for veterans, end public health crisis of gun violence. That's something a topic I need to discuss on a separate podcast at some point. This particular phrasing of the health crisis of gun violence. Make democracy real, reproductive freedom, community safety, affordable and sustaining housing, decriminalizing poverty. Charles is laser focused on reforming criminal justice system to address disparities, disproportionately criminalize and incarcerate the poor. At least that's what I'm believing. Restorative economics. We cannot move forward as a country until we finally address the moral stain of slavery. Okay, we'll open that up and take a look. Universal basic income, universal basic capital. Interesting. Strong labor unions and a sustainable economy. So, for cutting costs for American families, strong consumer advocate fighting price gouging and addressing massive windfall profits that drive up tax costs. Interesting. And restorative economics. This is kind of the spicy one. We cannot move forward until we finally address the moral stain of slavery and the economic impact that 150 years of systemic racism has had on generations of black Americans. Reparations are a means for the U.S. government to provide economic restitution for generational injustice and poverty. By keeping our nation's commitment to justice for all, we cannot just close the wealth gap, but ensure that every family has the freedom to live gainful lives. This holistic restitution would repair local economies across the country so that more jobs are created, community development is spurred, and the country as a whole can thrive in its future. It's about equity. Interesting. Yes, primed. The rhetoric does stand out rather starkly, but I'm trying to again restrain myself. And now we get to Louisiana, another first past the post state, if memory serves correctly. And all I can say is buckle in. There's a lot of candidates. So, John Kennedy, not to be confused with the other lesser Kennedys from Massachusetts. He's the current incumbent, rather an outspoken gentleman, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Before he became a senator in 2017, he was elected 5 times for 5 terms as state treasurer. As treasurer, he oversaw the state's $10.6 billion investment portfolios, oversaw local and state bond issues, returned millions of dollars of unclaimed property. Prior to his position as treasurer, he was secretary of the Department of Revenue, special counsel to Governor Romer, and on Romer's cabinet, yada, yada, yada. He was also an attorney and partner in Baton Rouge. Okay. Let's see. He went to Zachary, Louisiana, was raised there. Graduated magna cum laude, political science, philosophy, and economics at Vanderbilt. Was in a fraternity. Got a law degree from the University of Virginia and his BCL degree from Oxford in England. So he may seem rustic on the surface, but interestingly, he's internationally educated. A photo showing he's a man of the people. So, John Kennedy's priorities: fighting inflation, putting America first, standing up for Louisiana families, bringing Louisiana common sense to Washington. So, It's probably going to have a lot of gumbo. Protecting Louisiana jobs, draining the swamp. Build the wall, secure the border. Protecting life, lowering energy prices. Flood insurance and disaster recovery, and keeping Louisiana communities safe. So that's interesting. Going about the National Flood Insurance Program. So interesting. And nice simple website to dive through. And again, this is a first past the post, so we're getting quite a few other candidates. So we have Beryl Billiot, not sure, could be Billiot. Actually, it might be Billiot. Wonder if he's related to, well, anyway, that was a quick trip down memory lane, really strangely there. Let's see, he's a Louisiana resident, Native American, so that confirms the internal quandary I had. She didn't have a big nose, let's just say that. Let's see, he's going to do a lot of pledging, but let's see. Nothing, no biography. Let's see what his issues are. State national security, education, job creation. Government does not create jobs, businesses do. Government's responsibility is to help foster the growth of American business through business-friendly legislation. Create an environment for stability of business success. Revitalize gas and oil. And work to bring Louisiana at the forefront of clean energy research. He's also about healthcare, veteran support, judicial reform. Government's answer to our high crime rate, especially gun crime, is to reinforce create more laws. This is counterproductive. Laws only affect those who follow them. Implement aggressive enforcement policies. Individuals accountable. And a tiered prison system to reduce costs and deter crime. Talks about welfare and social issues. So there's Beryl Billiot. Now we have Gary Chambers. Let's see. Native to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Gary Chambers Jr. advocates the motto, do good, seek justice. Yeah, let's see. Gary's story, entrepreneur, co-founded the media outlet, the Rouge Collection, is a noteworthy social justice advocate and community organizer. Obama was a community organizer. Let's see. Was featured in 225 magazine, Wired, New York Times, CNN, Morning Joe, Roland Unfiltered. Advocates advancing the most disenfranchised communities across Louisiana. So Louisiana has been burdened by the type of inequity that can only be resolved through fearless representation on its behalf. Chambers has a courageous vision to bring resources back to the people of Louisiana, guided by a belief that we can lead this nation from the bottom of the map. Little interesting catchphrase there. So that is meeting Gary. And let's take a look at his priorities. Healthcare, education, jobs training, economy, infrastructure, common sense gun reform. Gary is a gun owner who supports the Second Amendment right to bear arms, but he's also a parent, a son, and a grocery store shopper, a moviegoer, concert attender, and so many more things who knows we need gun control reform. Interesting. criminal justice reform, reproductive rights, alphabet rights, the environment, immigration. Gary supports immigrants coming to America in search of a better life for themselves and their children. Foreign policy. Gary respects human rights of every person on the planet and respects the sovereign rights of every nation, large or small. Kind of curious. Very, very curious. But no official endorsements page, so we can move on from Gary Chambers. Devin Lance Graham. He's got a nice countdown timer. We need our voices heard. Louisiana's fallen behind because we don't have representatives fighting for us every day. Louisiana's strong, and the people are tough. The culture is endless, especially when you get some onions. An insider cooking joke. If you don't know, you don't know. So his platform is serving the people first, before party, business, or foreign country. Protecting Louisiana, our people, culture, and coast. Louisiana is a gift to the country. We hold the most valuable asset, the Mississippi River and her delta. However, current representatives of the Senate have forgotten their important allow us to be washed away, literally. Our people are forced from their homes every day by erosion, every storm that comes in. Okay. So he's definitely a Louisiana first type guy. Protecting our American values, rights, independence, and prosperity. You see why I'd be the one? I would actually disagree with you there and say Maryland drivers are the worst drivers in the United States rather than Louisiana. I have my reasons, most of which come from their attempts at vehicular homicide towards me. Jan John, independent on the ballot. He has some campaign stuff, but no official website. Jan John was born in Crowley, Louisiana, bachelor's degree from Louisiana State University. His professional experience includes working as a sommelier, as a project manager for an oil and gas production, has been affiliated with the Court of Master Sommeliers and Free and Accepted Masons. So there you go. Well, undoubtedly you do, UCY Beta 1. But if you want a senator and a sommelier, Jan John is your guy in Louisiana. And W. Thomas LaFontaine Olson. Another independent, no associated party. And LaFontaine Olson also ran for election in the U.S. Senate to represent Illinois. So, he's a bit of a carpetbagger, I would say. Bradley McMorris. And no information on him at all. But he's on the ballot. He got somebody to sign things off. Dr. M.V. Vinny Mendoza. Let's see. Only way to fight inflation is by boosting the economy of low-income and middle-class family instead of giving tax breaks to big oil and allowing them to do price gouging and oil production manipulation, which has pushed the U.S. into a technical recession and created an economic war on low-income and middle-class family. No bio. Dr. M.V. Vinny Mendoza's 5-point action plan. Regulate big oil companies that cause the current inflation spike and have declared economic war on low and middle class families. Sponsor the American Agrarian Reform Act. In 2020, we have less than 2 million farms that provide for 320 million Americans. Almost 75% less farms provide almost for 250,000, 50% people. Okay. So it's kind of a bailout for farmers from the way this reads. Fight for Veteran Burn Pit Exposure Recognition Act. Medicare for All. And end the war on women's rights by sponsoring, the Lorena Bobbitt Pee-wee Axe Act to remove genitals from all rapists. I'm hoping this guy is running as a meme, but wow, this guy's interesting. Let's see. Oh, here's a little bit of a bio. Born into a poor family, worked 16-hour days. Father, we don't care about your father, we care about you. Since he could not pay, here we go. Since he could not pay for my college education. Greetings, Earl. You're in for a treat of the peculiar candidate, Dr. M.V. Vinny Mendoza. A man who wants to forcibly remove genitals of convicted felons. Senator attempt in Louisiana. Let's see. He was in the Air Force for 20 years, traveled the world. Prime Night, he doesn't mention plocheting at all. So I'm guessing no. Let's see. Worked as a real estate investor in Louisiana farmer. Since 2009, he's an organic farmer and doing research in edible medicinal herbs, collaborating with LSU scientists and the benefits of the Moringa miracle tree. Interesting fellow, Dr. M.V. Vinny Mendoza. And again, I just want to emphasize point number 5, the Lorena Bobbitt Pee-wee Axe Act. This is 2 days in a row we've had Lorena Bobbitt jokes in here. Also Louisiana, Luke Mixon. Let's meet Luke. Farming family outside of Bunkie, Louisiana. Taught value of hard work and resiliency. Product of public schools in Louisiana. Student athlete. Desire to, join the military inspired by his grandfather, B-24 flight engineer. He and his crew were shot down by a 209. 109, not a 209. Very different aircraft. Yada, yada, yada. Here we go. Let's see. Attended the United States Naval Academy, became a fighter pilot, graduate from Top Gun. Let's see. Graduated from the Naval Academy in 2001, prior to 9/11. So, yep. I got to be a fighter pilot with an F-18 Hornet. 3,000 flight hours, deployed Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. Graduated from, Top Gun. All right. Returned home in Louisiana in 2016 as a commercial airline pilot. So it looks like he does not hold any political offices prior. Talking about healthcare costs, bankrupting Louisiana families, how Senator Kennedy, the incumbent, has been a disappointment to him. So, all right. And let's take a look at issues. Lower gas grocery costs for all people. Okay, so inflation, daycare and jobs, financial security for stronger families. Earl, I do agree. Needing more combat and enlisted personnel in government. I actually think that should probably become a requirement to hold even a mid-level bureaucrat position as having time in the military. That might reduce some of the bullshit that is going on. Let's see. Public safety. Effective and humane policing that keeps our community safe. Departments in Louisiana are critically understaffed, underpaid, underfunded. We need to invest in our police departments. And so, okay. Not talking about... Well, yeah, I mean, NCOs is an obvious requirement, Earl. Because could you imagine some of these terminal PFCs trying to run a bureaucracy? It would be just like it is now. So, healthcare, talking about some healthcare reform stuff, democracy and voting rights. Voting is a birthright of Americans. These states enact laws that make it harder for Americans to exercise fundamental right. Kennedy consistently opposes measures to protect voting rights. We must pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act or to combat voter suppression. So there's a giveaway. Oh, he's a minimum wage kind of advocate. $7.25 is a poverty wage, according to him. Well, that's kind of the point. Jobs and infrastructure. Education. Yeah, nothing. Making quality, affordable pre-K to every Louisiana child. Energy and jobs. Let's see. Continue to be an oil and gas state, but has natural resources to invite us to enter the emerging energy markets that bring good-paying jobs. Taking advantage of wind, solar, and other renewables, which are ineffective, provide residents with cost-efficient, reliable sources. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. So, that is Luke Mixon. Another candidate for the Democrat Party is Salvador Rodriguez. And no information known other than his party affiliation. All right. Now we're getting into the state with the worst drivers in the United States. Maryland. A state who deserves its reputation in so many, many ways. But they do have good crab cakes, so I'll give them that. So, Democrat incumbent Chris Van Hollen. I guess he's holier than thou. Proven effective Democrat. Well, Trying to be good. Trying to be good. Let's see. He's been described by the Baltimore Sun as highly effective. The Washington Post called him a gifted legislator, with someone who consistently earned a seat at the table where consensus might be formed. Okay. Yeah. Before his election to Senate, Chris spent over a decade in the House of Representatives, became a Democrat leader, key role in the passage of the Affordable Care Act, the Wall Street Reform Act, and the Economic Recovery Act. Ranking Democrat on the Budget Committee when the Tea Party Republicans took over, Chris led the fight to protect Medicare, Social Security from GOP budget attacks. So, previously, he was in the Maryland State Legislature, champion of progressive causes, and a talented legislator who was not afraid to take on powerful special interests. Chris is a graduate of Swarthmore College, the Kennedy School of Government, earned his law degree from Georgetown University, evening program, working as a congressional aide to former Maryland Governor William Donald Schaefer. And he's married with a Labrador Retriever. Not two, but they have one. And raised 3 children. So they put the damn dog in front of the kids. Sorry, it just always seems odd. Issues. Delivering for Marylanders. Helping Marylanders through the pandemic. So this is the second time we've seen a Democrat talk about the pandemic stuff as a campaign leg. So that's something interesting. An economy that works for everyone. Chris believes the challenge of our time is building a stronger, more inclusive economy with shared prosperity. He is the author of Build Back Better measures to end tax giveaways to the super wealthy. There you go. Expanding educational and workforce training opportunities. Strengthening public safety and ending gun violence. Universal access to affordable quality health care. Keeping promises to our seniors, so probably Social Security. Keeping promises to our veterans. Our environment and the planet. Protecting our democracy and ending secret money in politics. Yep, I have to agree with you there, Earl. I'm definitely getting the same conclusion. Throughout this is with the protecting our democracy. Chris has worked to protect the right to vote, fight back against discriminatory attempts to disenfranchise Americans. Original sponsor of the Freedom to Vote Act and the John R. Lewis Voting Right Act. He believes we must urgently fortify our democracy against big lie and GOP voter suppression laws. Yep. It's this is an interesting fellow, wouldn't you say? Struggle for equal rights and equal justice. See, those two are contradictory. Leadership on some of the biggest issues of our time, advancing civil rights reform in our criminal justice system, fighting for gender and alphabet equality, stems from deeply held belief of equal rights and equal justice. He is an original sponsor of the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. So there you go. Women's health, pay, and equity and choice. Staunch supporter of Paycheck Protection Act to ensure equal pay for equal work and the Equal Rights Amendment. Immigration. America's a nation of immigrants from our landing to today. Chris believes in that enabling immigrants to become a strong, vital part of our country is not just consistent, but a proven path to strengthening our economic future. Chris is an original co-sponsor of the Comprehension Immigration Reform Initiatives, which would combine a path to citizenship for Dreamers, TPS recipients, and other border security. Yeah, primed. Definitely getting some klaxons sounding. His endorsements. Oh, good God. Amalgamated Transit Union. American Federation of Government Employees. American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. Brady PAC. Again, big gun reform. CASA in Action. Council for a Livable World. Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. End Citizens United and Let America Vote. Giffords PAC. So he's in tight with Mark Kelly, I'm willing to bet. International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 26. International Longshoremen. Labor's International Union of North America. That's the second time I've seen that one show up. NARAL, Pro-Choice America. National Capital Federal Firefighters, IAF, Local 121. National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. National Education Association. National Treasury Employees Union. I didn't know that was such a thing. NowPAC. Planned Parenthood Action Fund. Professional Firefighters of Maryland Progressive Turnout Project. SEIU. The Sierra Club. Teamsters. Coalition of Asian Pacific American Democrats of Maryland. Now there's a mouthful. Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters. Jewish Democrat Council of America. Maryland and Washington, D.C. Association of Letter Carriers. UAW. Oh, wow, this is one hell of a name. United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry of the United States and Canada. It's not a name, that's a whole damn sentence. United Food and Commercial Workers International Union. There you go. That's Chris Van Hollen. And the Republican Party in Maryland decided not to run a serious candidate. So, Chris Chafee, he's kind of a perennial candidate from what I've discovered. He's on the ballot, but he doesn't even have a campaign website. And this is the Republican Party guy. That just shows you how this election is going to go. Not even, basically no contest. And, he garnered 21% of the Republican vote during their primary. All right, now we're moving on to Missouri. One of the more interesting flags for a state. So, moving right along, we have Trudy Bush Valentine. The front piece for, I guess, her son? Don't know. And let's see. So, Trudy Bush Valentine a mother, nurse, and supporter of child causes, a fourth-generation Missourian, running for the United States Senate. Honesty and integrity. Trudy is the daughter of Gertrude Buchholzer Bush and August Gussie Anheuser Busch Jr. Interesting. Grew up on the Anheuser-Busch's company's largest brewery in the world. So there we go. Trudy grew up on Grant's Farm, also known as Hardscrabble Farm. Let's see. Trudy's faith and Jesuit education was instilled in her core values, which she has today. Graduated from St. Louis University with a degree in nursing in 1980. Worked at the Salvation Army Residence for Children. Trudy has been touched by personal tragedy that deepened her commitment to supporting other families in tough circumstance. Trudy's husband died of cancer when he was 49, leaving her a single mother of 6 children. And then her oldest son died after battling an opioid addiction. So that's why she's big on the opioid epidemic. Serves on the Nort Nursing Board, multiple charitable organizations, and has established the Trudy Bush Valentine School of Nursing at St. Louis University. So, definitely a woman of deep pockets, shall we say. Let's look at her issues. Government ethics, protecting safe and legal abortion, standing with the alphabet community, protecting the environment, standing with seniors, strengthening the middle class, gun violence, voting rights, affordability in the middle class, health care, children, families, public safety, opioids addiction. Shame and stigma prevent too many Americans from receiving help when they struggle with an addiction and mental health concerns. Trudy will champion individuals and families struggling with addiction, invest in recovery, and stand up to the pharmaceutical industry in their part of the opioid crisis. There you go. She's endorsed by Moms Demand Action. So, nearly 60% of Americans know someone who's experienced gun violence. Today, guns are the leading cause of death for children in our country, she says. And while she respects the Second Amendment and believes law-abiding Americans have the right to own guns for hunting, sport, and self-defense, at the same time, military-style weapons don't belong in our streets or communities. Okay, then. No endorsements that I can find. So, yes, if you want to have a beer, vote for Trudy Bush and Valentine. Eric Schmidt, U.S. Senate. And I believe this is an empty seat. We will drill through. So, Eric Schmidt is Missouri's 43rd Attorney General and Chief Legal Law Enforcement Officer, lifelong sixth-generation Missourian. I've heard it both ways by the locals. Eric has proven over and over he will boldly defend the rule of law. Has 3 kids, one of whom has epilepsy and is on the autism spectrum and nonverbal, so he knows how to deal with Democrat voters. So, let's see. Attorney General. Cooperation between the U.S. Attorney Attorney's Office and the Attorney General Office, taking on violent crimes across the state. Launched the Real Opioid Pain Initiative, trying to tackle that. During Trump's presidency, Eric took the lead on backing the administration's policies. First Attorney General to sue China to hold them accountable for unleashing the coronavirus. That's interesting. Let's see. Eric authored and led the brief supporting the Republican Party against unconstitutional actions in Pennsylvania courts. So, this guy's definitely not going to stand down for a lot of things. Let's see. When Biden and John Kerry circumvented the Constitution to set social cost on greenhouse gases, a move that would cost not thousands but millions of jobs, destroy energy and agriculture industries, lower standard of living for workplace and working families, Eric immediately sued him. When Biden halted Operation Talon, endangering American lives, he pushed back and urged Biden to reverse that order. He's taught a course on American civics at his alma mater, St. Louis University, where students had the opportunity to study the evolution of political thought, the American Enlightenment, and explore leadership qualities necessary to solve big issues. Previously, he was elected as state treasurer, elected twice as the state senator, authoring two of the largest tax cuts in state history. Don't know if they passed, but he did that. Championed landmark legislation, unjust practice of taxation by citation. And so, yeah, that he had 16 years in a private legal practice. So that is Eric Schmidt. And then we have Paul Venable, who I believe is the Constitution Party candidate. And he's also, I did a little digging on this guy beforehand. He's done some books on kind of Constitution and that sort of thing. Where is a good little blurb on this gentleman's positions? So no. Here we go. We'll do Meet Paul first. Who is he? Independent citizen of our republic who have lifted our nations to the heights of unparalleled nations of history. Okay, so he's taking a quote. Okay, well, let's look at Paul's plan. Constitution. Definitize the Constitution as supreme law of the land. The states and the people hold the keys to its enforcement and in holding our oath-bound public servants accountability. Government, republican form of government, diffuses power to the local level. Elections then must be local. Financing confirmed within the area of election. Reinforce property rights. Objective government is to protect its citizens' lives and property. Your money is your property. Your conscience is your property. Your rights are your property. I like this line of thinking. Define the press. The United States and people defining the press as anyone and everyone who chooses to report something that takes away the elitism of corporate platforms. Decency standards can be determined while making censorship illegal. Citizenship. Advanced citizenship is far more than just voting on election days. New citizens of the United States take an oath of citizenship and it is implied upon those of us who are natural born. Right of petition, right of an ancient origin is our primary constitutional to reclaim the republic. So that is Paul Venable. Paul Venable, U.S. Constitution Party. Jonathan Dine of the Libertarian Party. And his career has him as a personal fitness trainer. There you go. So, moving right along to the state of Nevada. Catherine Cortez Masto. Shall we meet Catherine? Catherine Cortez Masto was born and raised in Las Vegas, dedicated her life to fighting for and protecting Nevadans. She served 2 terms as Nevada's Attorney General and Chief Law Enforcement Officer, made history as the first woman and first Latina ever elected to the Senate. I mean, sure. She comes from a big family. Her dad was from Mexico. Her mom was from Italy. Continued to grow since their grandparents brought their young families to Las Vegas. I mean, that's great that her grandfather served in World War II, but all right. Nevada's Attorney General kept our community safe. She cracked down on crime, protected consumers, worked closely with local law enforcement, made it her mission to stand up for, not to, but for vulnerable women and girls, leading the fight to break up sex trafficking rings, passing landmark law making sex trafficking a felony crime, ensuring domestic and sexual violence, had the right to sue their captors, and expanding sex offender registry to protect kids. Fair enough. Catherine saw Nevadans being taken care of, so Senior Protection Act. And in the Senate, she is delivering for Nevadans, working with Democrats, Republicans, and Independents to get things done. Well, yippee. Yeah, no, that's a fair question, Primed. Yeah, well, apparently it wasn't possible to sue someone for falsely imprisoning you for trafficking in the past, which doesn't seem realistic, but what do you expect from politicians? Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. Secure loans. Focused on making a difference for the people of Nevada. Strengthening Nevada's economy, creating good-paying jobs, and taking on the Chinese government to bring manufacturing back home. Continued working closely with law enforcement to secure federal funding for local police departments, lowering health care, bring down prescription drug costs, pushing for action for securing resources to combat climate change and create clean energy jobs. She is fighting to protect dreamers and repair our broken immigration system. So that's worth noting. Yep. So, yep, her husband wooed her by saying, "Yep, you can hit the road, lady, anytime." So that was really the issues part. Economy, law enforcement, healthcare, national security, climate change, drought, wildfires. Taxpayer dollars, reproductive rights. Oops, sorry. Education, tribal community, housing, rural. Okay. So, nothing that we haven't seen here before. Catherine is fighting to address the impact of climate changes harming Nevada's environment. Okay, defending our public lands, championing job-creating investments in clean energy. Talking about wildfires. It's a fact of life out there. If you, let's see, Dreamers, taxpayer dollars. Proudly stands with a vast majority of Nevadans who are pro-choice. That probably has to do with one of the biggest industries there in town. Let's see, protecting tribal communities. Leader in the Senate advocating for tribal communities in Nevada. Has passed historic legislation to combat the epidemic of missing, murdered, and trafficked First Nations women. And worked to secure critical funding for tribal education, housing, healthcare, and infrastructure. Okay, fair. Donate now with giant frickin' letters. All right, no endorsements, and the site was made by Landslide Digital. The more you know. So we have Adam Laxalt running. I gotta say, this is it was better before it showed people again, the landscape. All right, let's take a look at Adam. Graduated magna cum laude from Georgetown University. Graduated Georgetown University Law Center. He was a former naval officer and Iraq veteran. Served in Iraq detainee operations. He was in charge of more than 20,000 detainees during the surge. So, yeah. Assisted in the detention and prosecution of thousands of war criminals and terrorists. Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. Congratulations, you got awards, but that's not relevant. Awards mean nothing to me, and it should mean nothing to voters. Unless it's the Congressional Medal of Honor, I don't care. So, let's see. Fourth generation Nevadan, born in Reno. Served as Attorney General between 2015 and 2019. Took bold, driven results. People of Nevada protecting the most vulnerable citizens. Pursuing justice for victims of sexual assault. And by taking on Nevada's horrendous backlog of more than 8,000 untested sexual assault evidence kits. Fought for victims of human trafficking and secured the first human trafficking conviction in history in his office. Protecting seniors, launched law enforcement summit, leading combating the opioid crisis in Nevada. Committed to his fellow veterans. First federalism unit within the Attorney General's office, pushing back against federal government in cases where it overstepped its bounds and encroached on citizens' liberties. That's interesting. All right. Let's see. Issues for Adam. The economy, misguided policies of Joe Biden and Senator Kathleen Cortez Masto have left Nevada's family at or near bottom in every statistical area. Immigration. Crisis at our southern border puts communities across Nevada in danger. Senator Laxalt will work to finish, as Senator Laxalt, finish the wall, implement other technological solutions on the southern border, pushes the Remain in Mexico policy. Crime. Let's see. Wants no small part in the reckless soft on crime policies pushed by the Democrats. Far left movement has pushed decriminalization under the guise of social justice. Yeah, okay. Second Amendment vigorously defended the gun rights of Nevadans. Was lauded by the NRA and GOA. And let's see, raised money through a PAC to message against red flag laws. So there you go. And sought to block a Bloomberg good lord, proposed law on banning safe and already registered third-party transfer of firearms. So there you go. Election integrity. Against last-minute changes codified into law by the legislature in 2020. Advocate of reforms including voter ID and opposition to universal mail-out voting, ballot harvesting, and ballot drop box. Laxalt in 2020 called for the end of shutdowns, school closures, mask mandates, acknowledging the enormous costs of these failed policies early on. And he's unabashedly pro-life. All right. And let's see if we have it. Oh, yay. Finally, some endorsements. The Cheeto-in-Chief approved. So Laxalt has been endorsed by Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton of Arkansas, also endorsed by Ron DeSantis. Now this is interesting. In naval officer training, my roommate was Adam Laxalt. I saw firsthand his dedication to the service of our country. We need to flip one seat in the Senate to regain the majority. Adam is a conservative candidate who can do it, says Florida man Ron DeSantis. He's also endorsed by Josh Hawley, U.S. Senator, Mark Levin, Mike Pompeo as well, Donald Trump Jr. Here they are grinning for the camera. Also endorsed by Richard Grenell and retired General Michael Flynn. And apparently someone named Ralph Reed also endorses. And then organizations, American Conservative Union, Senate Conservative Fund, 60 Plus, Gun Owners of America, Club for Growth, National Right to Life, Nevada Right to Life, Nevada Fraternal Order of Police, the FOPS, National Rifle Association. Interesting that they were placed lower than the Gun Owners of America. Public Safety Alliance of Nevada, and ABC Nevada, the Association of Builders and Contractors. And then you can sign up and add your name there. So that is Adam Laxalt. So the Independent American Party is running Barry Rubinson. And there's not a whole lot in here to give us any information on who Barry Rubinson is, or Robinson. Libertarian Party is running Neil Scott. No biographical information, which is rather unfortunate. I tell you, just an observation. The Libertarians really need to up their game with creating candidate websites. I think that's really imperative for them to do. And let's see, I can't remember who Barry Cameron Lindman is running under, but he might have his own, might be an independent running, as far as I can remember. Political kings and queens are out, he says. So there we go. About Barry. Sensible Western philosophy of the equality state. Bachelor of Science, St. John's University, Collegeville, Minnesota. I forgot it was called Collegeville, Minnesota. Master of Business Administration, Pepperdine University. And author of Red Agenda, whatever that is. Grew up in Bighorn, Wyoming. Worked in media in Denver, Colorado. And then construction, real estate, and financing in Las Vegas. And he has 5 kids. Good for him. All right, so let's take a look at his platform. I will punish a poorly run government. Bad economic policies for countries should translate to lower tax brackets for people. There you go. I like mead. So, yep, talking about water running down in Lake Mead. Wow, that's a very pertinent issue for those in Nevada. It's not a big campaign issue. Inflation. He wants to roll back international spending, prioritize American people, lower taxes on the middle class and small business, deregulate energy industry, encourages expansion, lessen banking restrictions on small business, and encourage the formation of small and mid-sized banks, reduce a federal income tax moratorium for all new businesses, reduce size of government, and stop raising interest rates. Student loan debt. And I'll read it, but I've got my qualms. Question, why can't any president cancel all student loan debt? Answer, because it funds Obamacare. Sure. So student loan debt goes well beyond that, but we need not talk about that, apparently. Let's see. Bitter pill of illegal immigration. Don't blame those pouring across our border. They're escaping socialism, communism, and despotic rule. Who wouldn't sprint through our open border policy? To them, it's worth the risk. We can sympathize and empathize. Blame your government for playing politics with human lives. Gas prices. Transfer of wealth, education, liberty. So, yeah. Not a whole... Well, I mean, there's stuff there, but I won't say it's super in-depth, and it's Lindman and the party of Lindman run by Barry Lyndon for the people of Lindemann. And now we get to New Hampshire. Or as I like calling it, Nude Hamster. Incumbent Maggie Hassan. Let's see, what about Maggie? Maggie Hassan is working across party lines to solve problems, expand opportunity for all hard-working families and small businesses, and to keep Nude Hamster safe and secure and free. In 2016, she was elected to represent Nude Hamster, winning one of the most competitive Senate races in the country by 1,017 votes. Is only the second woman in American history to be elected both as governor and senators. Well, slow clap for a pointless self-given award. Recipient of the Bipartisan Policy Center's Legislation Action Award. Teamed up with various Republicans. Yes, Primed. I think Candyman could take care of this one as well. Let's see. Hassan serves on the Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, Subcommittee on Emerging Threats and Spending Oversight. That's a strange combination. Introduced bipartisan legislation helping the Homeland Security better identify terrorist threats. Cybersecurity bill. This is also a member of the Senate Committee on Health, Education, and Labor and Pensions, the HELP Committee, Senate Finance Committee, Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs, and the Joint Economic Committee, part of the Common Sense Coalition. Able to break the stalemate and help pass the bipartisan COVID-19 relief bill at the end of last year. Secured billions of dollars for Nude Hamster, small businesses, families, jobs, yada, yada, yada. She earned a BA from Brown University and her Juris Doctorate from the Northeastern School of Law. Her husband, Tom, an educator, is proud of their 2 children. Priorities. Is this all going to be... There we go. Independent leader for New Hampshire. Talking about red list bridges, expanding high-speed internet, and community funding. Focused on lowering costs, prescription drugs, lower energy, gas taxes. Well, she wants to end giveaways to big oil and suspend federal gas tax to give drivers a break at the pump. That's an interesting juxtaposition. She successfully pushed the Biden administration to release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Modernizing America's infrastructure, supporting small business and innovation, bringing down the cost of prescription drugs, standing with women, standing up to big oil, combating climate change, and building a clean energy economy. Keeping our country safe, secure, and free, combating substance misuse crisis, so opioid crisis by every other candidate here. Standing with law enforcement, public safety, college more affordable, lowering taxes and cutting Granite State, for Granite Staters, cutting government waste. Well, that's a first. Supporting individuals who experience disabilities. That's a overly politically correct thing. Protecting alphabet rights, supporting our seniors, strengthening New Hampshire's workforce, standing up for the North Country, and protecting our democracy. That's... Ah, yes, her father was at the Battle of the Bulge. In the Senate, she's going after corporate special interests, pushing legislation that will get dark money out of our politics. Ooh. Stop billionaires from buying our elections, ensure free, fair, and impartially administered elections, stood up to partisan politicians trying to overturn election results by pushing for the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. So that's 3 today that we've seen with the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Let's see, yada, yada, yada. Pushing for a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United, supported legislation to end partisan gerrymandering, push to ensure greater transparency for groups that engage in political spending and try to hide their donors, so political action committees. All right. So then Don Bolduc, or Bolduc, I wanted to call him Bold Duck, but that's just me. So, Bold Duck was born and raised in Lacona. Historic Bold Duck Farm in Guilford. Yippee-di-yo-ki-yay. Served as a police officer at the town of Lacona. Graduated from the academy, near 18, yada, yada, yada. Enlisted in the United States Army. After achieving the rank of sergeant, he attended Salem State University and joined the ROTC program. Distinguished military graduate. Commissioned second lieutenant. I guess they all have to start somewhere. Let's see. 33-plus year career in Army Special Forces. Global War on Terrorism. He led one of the first groups in Afghanistan riding on horseback. Led 3rd Special Forces Operation Group, Operation Medusa. Credited with going after Kandahar province. Okay, interesting. Served as joint staff of the Office of Secretary of Defense and aide to the Secretary of Army, briefing high-level government officials, including Joint Chiefs of Staff and the President. So, yep. Let's see, end of his career, 2 awards for valor, 5 Bronze Stars, 2 Purple Hearts, one of the few survivors of both a helicopter crash and a 2,000-pound bomb that inadvertently targeted his position by friendly fire. So, interesting fellow then. After returning to New Hampshire, Bold Duck has been tireless advocate to combat the stigma around treatment of post-traumatic stress syndrome. Let's see, yeah. Talks about his own struggles with PTS. Wife Sharon, 3 sons, 3 grandchildren, a couple of dogs, one of which is a certified medical service dog. So there we go. So, lifelong military, not in politics. Strong economy. Strong borders. Strong domestic energy production. We must regain energy independence and security. The Biden administration squandered leasing and exploring federal lands for oil and finishing pipelines, streamlining the permitting process. Let's see, strong world leadership, talking about countering the Chinese Communist Party and rogue nations like Korea and Iran. Strong defense of liberties. We must stand firm against government encroachment of our God-given liberties. Constitutional rights, Second Amendment, must be fiercely protected, and parents must have a final say in their child's education. Very cool. That's media. So, no listed endorsements by General Don Bolduc. Then, sorry, Senator, if you're, hopefully, Senator, if your people are listening to this and I'm mispronouncing your name terribly, I do apologize, but it's funny. So this is the Libertarian candidate. And I wanted to put up the splash page here. So it's Jeremy Hahn, or Hone. And Blue Pill Return to Subjugation actually takes you to the CNN website. And Embrace Freedom goes to his campaign website. Oh, no. That's the other guy I was thinking of later. Jeremy Kaufman, Libertarian for Senate. Will protect Granite State independence from bullying by distant state through federal overreach. Yeah, we'll find out, won't we, Primed? So. Oh, interesting. So Jeremy Kaufman is the founder and CEO of the Decentralized Content Sharing and Publishing Protocol Library. He created Library because he fell in love with the idea of a shared global content registry that is owned and controlled by no one. He's in love with the idea that you and your family are owned by no one, and yada, yada, yada. Jeremy is a board member of the Free State Project, which chose New Hampshire to the most free in the nation, wants to preserve and expand our Granite State advantage, yada, yada, yada. Longtime supporter of decentralized technology. Prior to Library, he founded TopScore. Okay. He attended Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, degrees in physics and computer science. All right. Corruption for the people. So, he is big on war and foreign policy. Let too big fail to fail. Censoring the censors, unholy marriage of big government, big media, big tech, big academia. Try to indoctrinate us, control our thoughts. Help Jeremy get these pests out of your mind. Talks about Robin Hood. And that's interesting. In big conspiracies, big government is in bed with big pharma, big defense, big tech, big education, big bankers, big surveillance, big energy, big agra, big Jeremy will make New Hampshire citizens so big that the big bullies will stop messing with your life. Sorry, Primed. Trying to which institute based where are you thinking? Well, we'll go back and take a look at that here in a second. Make small beautiful again. Talking about devolving back to more small government, reducing regulations, paperwork, reports, and inspections. I do agree. when he's talking the control and the censorship, and because it's like he's really kind of misusing a lot of what it could be. Because you're right, saying control, not control, but influence, is saying control turned people away, make you tinfoil hat man. Rensselaer. So that's one of the. Where was that line? Yeah, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. That's one of the big engineering schools here in the U.S. And that is in New York State, if I remember correctly. Let's see. And actually, let me just get some verification. Rensselaer. Yep, it's in Troy, New York. Also has a campus in Hartford, Connecticut. So, yeah, well, one of the big educational schools with is at least electrical engineering at one point. It's far enough outside of the absolute hellhole that is New York City, but yeah, I mean, fuck New York. Speaking of, oops, sorry, wrong New York state flag. Oh, shit, did it again. No, yeah, there we go. Excelsior, whatever. Chuck Schumer. Ugh. I'm definitely really holding back. All right, old Chucky the Shoe. Oh, a campaign photo. Chuck has spent his entire life working for New Amsterdammers. Now the Democrat majority leader in the U.S. Senate, he's ushering in a new era of bold change to rebuild after the COVID-19 pandemic and stop the climate crisis and save our democracy. Oh, Joe and his joke stealing of a whale of a daughter. Yeah, I don't recognize that thing. Brooklyn, born and bred. Well, there you go. He just in the absolute shittiest hole of shitholes in New Amsterdam. He was born in Sheepshead Bay. Went down, got the coffee and the water, and then they had the waiter operator flying planes over the Himalayas. That kind of turned into a Boston accent, but I don't care. Fuck New York. Attended public school. Valedictorian, went to Harvard. First in his family to attend college. Then he studied chemistry, but soon became active in the College Democrat, working on Eugene McCarthy's 1968 presidential campaign. Definitely save your paycheck primed. Chucky the Shoe still lives in Brooklyn with his wife Iris. Doesn't share his last name. Delivering for New York. Yeah. Working with the most accessible elected officials unless you're a dirty Republican in his city. His career in public service began in 1974 when he was elected to the New York State Assembly. At 19, he was elected to represent a congressional district in 1980. So, a member of the House of Representatives. During his 18 years in the House representing Brooklyn and Queens, he did, Violence Against Women Act, the Brady Bill, which instituted mandatory background checks for handgun purchases, and the assault weapons ban. In 1998, he was elected to the Senate, prioritizing strengthening New York's economy. Yeah, stealing from the middle class and giving to the rich. Helping working families get ahead by making everybody a working family. Sought to expand access to health care, background check system for gun sales, make college affordable, reform the immigration, and after the terrorists' attack on September 11th, he worked tirelessly to help New York recover and rebuild at the expense of others. I.e. the $20 billion in federal aid to spark New York City's revival. Then after the blessed superstorm Sandy devastated the East Coast, he got $50 million in emergency relief funding for New York. Old Daddy Warbucks here. 2016, Chuck was elected Senate Minority Leader. Throughout the turbulent 4 years, Chuck led opposition to the Senate against the Trump administration because Orange Man bad. He led the Democrat resistance in some of Trump's most despicable actions as president, and attempts to repeal the Affordable Care Act, and fought against Trump's Muslim ban, only it was very specific countries that were in conflict. Fucking A. All right, that's just, yeah. That's enough of meeting Chuck. Issues. COVID relief, climate change, voting rights and democracy. From the big lie to voter suppression, our democracy is under attack. Healthcare, criminal justice and racial equity. Gun violence prevention. America has a gun violence crisis and it's getting worse. Student education and debt. Jobs in the economy. Alphabet equality. Women's rights. Republicans have launched an all-out campaign to attack on women's rights. Seniors. Immigration. We're a nation of immigrants, but our current immigration is broken. No fucking shit. And who broke it? Windbags like you old fucking retard. Sorry, I should be more impartial. That's the goal here, but oy vey. Chip in to protect and expand our Democrat Senate majority. Oh, look. You want $25, $100, $250, $1,000? Make it weekly? You want to give your money to this despicable old bastard? Sorry. Just one of the few senators that gets me really riled up, and that's because he's from fucking New York. But we have opposition. Joe Pinion. I like this, referring to Chuck as a dinosaur. Pinion is building a grassroots movement to secure America that works for we the people. Together we will unite an uncommon coalition to push back against the career corporate politicians like Chuck Schumer, who abuse public trust to keep our state and nation divided. Well, damn. All right. Joe Pinion, entrepreneur, political news commentator, throughout his life both witnessed the power of opportunity and the pernicious impact of government-driven neglect. Let's see. From the faces within his own family, the stories he helped explore behind the news desk, Joe personally understands the reality of confronting the everyday people that call New York home. Born and raised in Yonkers, raised by his mother and grandmother, standout student athlete, went to Colgate University. No toothpaste jokes there. Let's see. Political news commentator, appeared regularly on prominent news networks. Most recently, host of his own show, The Saturday Agenda on Newsmax. Business professional, Joe has a wealth of experience, private sector nonprofit business, fighting against fucking New York's corruption and crime. Yeah, I'm prime diet. Old piece of cheese. I mean, I think an old tire pulled out from the East River. I mean, lots of things are better than this. Lots. Let's see. Effectively, Joe Pinion here. Let's see. Voice to the voiceless. Bring attention to issues. Morris Height Health Center. Director of nation's poorest congressional district in the Bronx. Well, it's the Bronx. What the fuck do you expect from the Bronx? Let's see. Like too many New Amsterdammers, Joe's experienced firsthand the government failing one of its most fundamental obligations to protect the vulnerable. Lost his 100-year-old grandmother who died of COVID in a nursing home alone. Holy shit. For too long, politicians like Chucky the Shoe have failed 99% of the citizens. And, represent our shared values in Washington to look out for our best interests, not just special interests. And UCYB to 1. Same said for McConnell or McCarthy. Yeah, they're all these lifelong politicians are pretty damn bad. And everybody should get primaried, if nothing else. Let's see. Take back the dream. Yada, yada, yada. So, unfortunately, he doesn't have any issue or position priorities page. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave Joe Pinion behind. But, clearly, while he might be a man from fucking New York, he seems to be a man of principle. So I'll give him a lot of credit there. And we also have Diane Sawyer. So, dump Schumer, vote November 8th for Diane Sawyer for U.S. Senate. She's the part of the LaRouche party. Which, and yes, that's her with the microphone somewhere in the festering shithole known as New York City. So Diane is on the ballot as an independent candidate for the Senate. Sawyer's family comes from New England, raised yada yada yada. Mayflower, whoop-de-doo. Her mother's side, Swedish, French, and Scottish. All settled in northern Maine. Hey, I mean, get on my level when you have people that founded what became New Amsterdam and then bastardized. Let's see. Grew up in, her father was a doctor, yada, yada, yada. Don't really care. Family was very active in the Quaker meeting area. So she's part of the Congregational Church. So, yeah, okay, cool. She went to Sweden as an exchange student, Hamilton College, New England Conservancy, pursued a life in music. She met the organizers for Lyndon LaRouche and his 1988 presidential campaign, including future husband Tsar. And let's see. The ideas of Lyndon LaRouche, particularly his passion to end economic injustice, strong emphasis on scientific project, classical art, resonated strongly with Diane, and decided to dedicate her life organizing for Lyndon LaRouche. Yeah, it's where in Sweden? I don't think it said. No. No, it just says spending a year in Sweden as an exchange student. Let's see. In 2014, she ran for the House of Representatives in New Jersey in the Democrat primary, calling for the impeachment of then President Barack Obama. Holy wow. Yeah. She was basically kicked out of the Democrat Party. Let's see. Then after Staten Island in the Eric Garner case, worked to avert riots that were okay. She writes articles about the homeless situation in New York. No, not LaRouche, which probably translates to the douchebag. So, yeah, all right, fine. Let's see. Statements. Platform. Here we go. So, I'm running as a LaRouche independent candidate versus the favorite son of Wall Street, Chuck the Shoe. Let's see. Sure. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. So, Chuck the Shoe, loyalties lie not with the people of the United States, but serves big money, big tech, big pharma, and the British Empire. What the hell? Party system has failed to serve the needs of the Republic. Both parties have become slaves to interests which own Chuck the Shoe. Hold Schumer accountable. If we were to join China's Belt and Road Initiative, it would require modernizing all our ports and cities. I don't this. I mean, I hate to say it. It's definitely interesting. So reinstate the 1933 Glass-Steagall Act, return to national banking, nationalize the Federal Reserve, so kind of the Bank of the United States, issue public credit for large infrastructure, collaborate with Russia, China, India, as well as Europe's ITER program to build thermonuclear fusion energy prototype reactor. Wow. I mean, I've always known LaRouche-ites to be interesting. She wants to the Trans-Siberian or Trans-Siberian... I can't remember. There's a term for it, but it's basically once a high-speed maglev train built between Alaska and Siberia. Four powers agreement between U.S., Russia, and India to reorganize the world economy, returning to fixed exchange rates and win-win cooperation on great projects in infrastructure and space exploration. Respect sovereignty of all nations. No wars of aggression. We shall not declare war, wage war on any nation which has not attacked or invaded the U.S. or one of our allies. And during times of pandemic, sanctions must not be used as a mean of fostering internal strife and regime change. She wants to cancel culture. Too many consonants get me tongue-tied. Classical music instruction, plastic arts and art history, physical sciences. Forget computer benchmarking. Children need to be able to recreate the solutions to paradoxes which combine the greatest minds in histories, from Eratosthenes to Einstein. This means field trips study the motion of the stars, planets, and constructive geometry to actual science experiments. Classical language and literature, such as Greek and Latin. She wants to stop the coup, crush the global fascist digital dictatorship. How is it that Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey are all allowed to deny President of the United States, Donald Trump, a platform to address the American people? Many leaders around the world are shocked to this extreme form of censorship, including Mexican President Obrador. Interesting. Exonerate Lyndon LaRouche. His case set the precedent for what done to President Trump and all independent thinkers. Pardon Assange and Snowden. Protect them so they can tell the American people about the crimes of the military-industrial complex, including its ties to the British GCHQ. Okay. New Bretton Woods system. Let's see. Reorganized world bankrupt. Yeah, you can look up Diane Sayers' candidacy stuff. She reminds me a bit of I cannot remember the guy's name off the top of my head because of course I'm trying to think of him. But he was a perennial candidate. Ralph killed the Corvair. Shit. I'm going to have to look this up. And you guys get to experience. Let's see. And it was Ralph Nader. There we go. So kind of a perennial candidate type like Ralph Nader. So, yes, interesting individual for sure. And yeah, I figured I would just take like a real quick detour down the Lyndon LaRouche movement and just kind of like, all right, where's, a lot of it's been about banking and the financial systems, which is kind of an interesting thing. Um, yeah, I think maybe this is something to go down a rabbit hole when I do a more specific history episode, and then you've got the LaRouche Political Action Committee and all this sort of thing, where it's like they're very much still active, but this is what I would call, like, back in the day was kind of like the old fringe libertarians from like the 60s and 70s before it became a formalized movement, but more on the social democrat side of things. But that's just been my cursory read through it, and I'd actually like to do a little more digging, just because it's kooky and weird and fun. And I will say this last little bit of the LaRouche isms or asms: global warming, as fake as your girlfriend's orgasm. I mean, there's some good ideas right there. Not gonna lie. So, we are moving on to our last state, North Carolina. Well, last state of this segment. So, Sherry Beasley. So, Sherry Beasley. Let's see. She's raised in North Carolina. Well, that's nice. Raised by a trailblazing mom. I just don't care. Tell me about your history and background. And it's like, okay, she and her husband instilled the same values in their sons. Good. So it's a... I agree, Primed. It's like movements get kind of stuck on being like a platform, not actually interacting with the voters and giving people a sense of their voters have humanity. Rather, it's like, oh, hey, well, let's look at just the issues, just the facts. And I like seeing a little bit of the meme culture, even if it's weirdos on billboard, with the placards wandering around on a city street. At least it's a meme. So let's see. So Sherry Beasley worked as a public defender and then judge. First African American woman to serve as Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court. Sherry's always acted independently without bias to uphold the laws and keep communities safe, no matter the politics. I will call into one quandary I've got, kind of calling into question. Is she still sitting as Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court, or did she resign in order to seek the Senate seat? I don't know. But I think it's worth asking. Worked to make schools safe and strong. Implemented paid family leave as Chief Justice to court employees. Created the first human trafficking court in North Carolina to hold traffickers accountable. So this is kind of a Nevada mirror in a strange way. As a working mom, she spent late nights on the phone with insurance companies to make sure her son's medical treatment, yada, yada, yada. And that's nice, but I'd like to know where she graduated from. What her background is. Is she currently a judge? It's just... it's something I would like to know. Because it just seems like... It seems like a bit of a conflict of interest if she's still sitting on the bench. Well, primed. Yes, not knowing much about the American political system, a governor can't become a senator. Not at the same time. Now, you could be a governor and then later become elected after that term's concluded, become elected as a senator. That's actually happened in, let's see, the state of Virginia has 2 former governors, both as senators. And I'm trying to think of any other examples off the top of my head. No, I can't. And I think there have been some senators that have gone and then moved into governorships, but don't quote me on that because I'd need to look it up, and that might be early 20th century, late 19th century individuals. So that's not necessarily relevant to our modern world. So, what will Sherry fight for? Expanding access to quality, affordable healthcare, strengthening our children's futures. So this is mostly education, it looks like. Creating jobs and growing economic opportunity for all of North Carolina. Supporting small towns and rural areas and agriculture. Standing up for women's rights. As a working mother, Sherry knows firsthand the challenges women face in the workplace. As Chief Justice, she took action to establish family leave policy for court employees to ensure people could take care of their families and be successful in their jobs. Taking on the climate crisis and protecting our environment. Protecting our fundamental right to vote, strengthening our democracy. Honoring our veteran service members and military families. Keeping that's a big one for North Carolinians because of Fort Bragg down in Vietnam. So, keeping North Carolina communities safe. Believes everyone deserves to feel safe in their homes, communities, houses of worship, schools, and workplaces. Sherry believes that action must be taken to reform our criminal justice system. Ensure equal protection under the law, protect civil liberties, and strengthen public safety. Improving housing affordability and fixing our immigration system. Constituency groups. Women for Beasley, law enforcement for Beasley, parents for Beasley, and veterans for Beasley. Let's see. Nope. That's a whole lot of nope. Oh, that's weird. So this is women for Beasley, so they just want name, postcode, email, phone number, so they can text the shit out of you. But for law enforcement, they want name, they want your address, as well as email and phone number. What about parents? Same thing as law enforcement. So parents and law enforcement are the same, but women are different. Maybe it's just a glitch on the website, but I think that's entertaining. So, also running is Ted Budd. So, let's go and meet Ted. Ted Budd is a conservative with the courage to stand strong for what's right, no matter how powerful the opposition. North Carolinians can trust Ted to fight against the Biden agenda. He won't compromise conservative values. He'll fight for them. Scroll down and read more. All right. this is reading more. He's got a daughter, maybe 2 daughters. I can't tell from the age of this one, and a horse. Congratulations. Oh, Ted Budd has been endorsed by Donald J. Trump. As far as I know, it's just showing up as Ted, but it might be Theodore primed. Ted grew up on a cattle and commercial chicken farm in rural Davie County. So, probably the Davie Dodgers. Ted met his wife, Amy, in the former Soviet Union on a mission trip in 1991, a week before the collapse of communism. They saw each other again in the United States, and wow. There's a hell of a first date story. Yeah, working families, strengthening family culture battle. He's an Eagle Scout. Okay, cool. Scoutmaster. Homeschooled their 3 children and served on a member of the Home Education Board. Interesting. His daughter with a gun. So there we go. There's a no, can't say what I was going to say because I promised not to give endorsements. Hint, hint. Small business owner, meet payroll. Yep. Owns a thriving shooting, sports, and retail store, training center, and indoor range. So he's a range safety officer. Okay, he's got a dog, and both he and the dog know how to operate Caterpillar equipment. There we go. Graduate of Appalachian State University, business administration from Wake Forest. Mentor of the year. They both have master's degree from Theological Seminary. All right. Back to top. Get out of here with your pop-ups. You might have just lost it. All right. Issues. So, creating jobs, obviously. Oh, I got it. Yep. And let's see. Yep, creating jobs and stopping socialism. From the Green New Deal to Build Back Better, radical progressives are committed to implementing costly socialist agenda that would break the free market. Securing the border, standing with law enforcement, cutting taxes and waste, protecting the sanctity of life, defending the Second Amendment. As owner of Pro Shots gun store and range, Ted is tired of politicians treating law-abiding gun owners like criminals. Safeguarding elections, empowering peasants, empowering parents in education. Eliminating big tech corruption. Political censorship by big tech companies is out of control. Facebook, Twitter, and Google enjoy broad legal protections because they are considered platforms under Section 230. So there we go. And endorsements, because finally there's some endorsements. Endorsed by Donald Trump, obviously. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Ambassador Nikki Haley, former Speaker Newt Gingrich, Mark Levin, radio host, Congressman Jim Jordan, Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Cynthia Lummis, National Border Patrol Council, North Carolina Values Coalition, let's see, Gun Owners of America, and the North Carolina Troopers Association. That's, yes, Prime Knight, empowering peasants. Good swords from a thought in the lake isn't a way of government. Agreed. And also interesting and worth noting, it has donate with crypto as part of it. So that is Ted Budd, candidate for senator in North Carolina. Now we finally get to Matt Ho, which I've been, for some reason, trying to throw into just about everywhere. But anyway. So he went to war 3 times as a Marine and a diplomat before realizing the courage to pronounce that wars are unjust and immoral. He resigned from the State Department over the surge of troops in Afghanistan. We need to reclaim, reimagine, and rebuild our government into a government of the people. So let's see what he's on about. And I don't know. Let's see. All right, well, that's the same page. Thanks, I guess. Let's see. For much of his life, North Carolina has been home. It's also wars against the working class, the continued racial injustices, the war on drugs, the criminal for-profit healthcare system, our unsustainable housing crisis, so many other inequalities, injustices, and inequities that not only stifle individuals and families, but diminish and hold back entire neighborhoods, municipalities, and the entire country. Yes, primed. Yeah, it is the Declaration says, "We the people." Let's see. Matt sees 62% of Americans want a third party in power because they know how much current political and financial systems hold us back. So, yeah. So, Green Party. Here we go. I think this is our first Green Party candidate, actually. And so, let's see. Rendower Prize. I don't care. Don't care. All right. So, endorsements. Issues. So, a fair economy for working people. True living wages. So, he wants a $17.14 per hour minimum wage. He wants to replace right to work. So he's really going to be pushing unionization, worker ownership, development of worker community co-ops, housing as a right, all primed. I think we're in for one hell of a ride, actually. Experiencing the worst housing crisis of our lifetimes for both homeowners and renters. Housing has not been this unaffordable in over 100 years. The home ownership rate for black Americans is actually lower today than it is in the 1970s. Well, you can thank LBJ for that one, numbnuts. So, banks, public banks and utilities, cancel student debt, free public education through university, free child care and pre-K for all, cancel medical debt, Healthcare for all is a human right. A real Green New Deal to fight the climate crisis. Global heating threatens the survival of human civilization and life on Earth. We need a real Green New Deal now to tackle the existential threat of the climate crisis. And move our money from war machine to creating millions of good, green, sustainable union jobs across the United States that cannot be outsourced. In the war on drugs. End political corruption and build a re-democracy, but yes, build a real democracy. Publicly financed election, limited window time for campaigns, because the Green Party sucks and can't do a long campaign, I'm guessing. Free public airtime for, same thing. Strict anti-corruption finance laws. Ranked choice voting for all election. Proportional ranked choice voting. The Fair Representation Act. In gerrymandering. In the filibuster. Term limits for Congress. Prime night. From what I know, student loans in America, the price is bloated and stupid rates. Internship or work on site is better. Yes, but internships and apprenticeships have kind of been discarded for the most part, and internships don't count for as much as they used to. Let's see. National popular vote for president. Garbage. Fair ballot access. In partisan election oversight. Full ex-felon voter enfranchisement. D.C. statehood. Self-determination for U.S. territories. End the wars. Bring war dollars home. Real racial justice. Ooh, okay. End police brutality. Establish control of community control of police. End qualified immunity. Change the Department of Justice. Charge the Department of Justice with prosecuting excessive use of force. Local police must come from the communities they serve. That one I can definitely agree with. Demilitarize the police in the 1033 program. Invest in our communities, in mass incarceration. Reparations. We support reparations of the African American and Native American, I prefer First Nations, communities for the historical wrongs of slavery and genocide and the ongoing legacy of systemic racism. Wow. These efforts must be led by members of these communities. I work on a national discussion on reparations with a Truth, Reconciliation, and Reparations Commission to understand and eliminate the legacy of slavery, xenophobia, and indigenous genocide. Wow. And stop abusing immigrants. At the border, elsewhere, tens of thousands of immigrants held in humiliating, painful detention centers built by Obama, deported back without due process, yada, yada, yada. And, yes, Prime Night, this Matt Ho for Senate did say he wanted to remove the Electoral College for the presidential elections. And you see why. The one problem with race in America is that justice hasn't been real. Yeah, it's just, it's a festering wound that everybody wants to pick every 2, 4, and 6 years for political gain. Protect and empower the alphabet community, women's health, abortions, and human rights, liberty and justice for all, privacy. Protect and expand Social Security and disability rights. So, yeah, AP, you are in just for the end here, and you missed one hell of a doozy with this Matt Ho for Senate. And this is one of those I might actually send this over to the Sultans because it's just wildly interesting. And clearly this clown has no endorsements. And then we have Shannon Bray. So, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, he's North Carolina as well. He was born in South Louisiana, graduated Theobald High, and he was in taking an initial stab at college. He enlisted in the Navy. Currently works for the Department of Defense, works in Apex. It's a nice place. Education. Missouri Science Education, PhD student, Science and Technology. University of Delaware, Science and Master of Science Cybersecurity. Colorado State University, Global Campus. No, you see why I be the one. Rather than saying ardent party all the time, I will. I call him AP from time to time. Oh yeah, no, I will definitely send you a link for Matt Ho. His holy shit. That was a wild ride, and also one of the New York Senate candidates. Let's see, Arapahoe Community College, Associate History of Art. There we go. Worked in IT, supposedly a leading expert in field. Well, in Apex he probably is. Community service. He was in Lieutenant Commander in the Naval Sea Cadets. He's in the Navy League, whatever the hell that is. Coast Guard Auxiliary, Cyber Patriot. So he's running as the Libertarian Party candidate in North Carolina. And let's see why he's in. Political goals, endless wars. Data privacy. Bray believes that the government and U.S. companies have abused our personal data. He believes personal data should be owned by the individual and considered personal property. Our data is often used against us in nefarious ways. Homeland and Cybersecurity. Veterans Affairs. Smart Technology. U.S. has been adapting smart technology over a number of years. Our power grid components all use technology while our U.S. border implements some level of technology. Additional research is needed to help make our country safe from attacks of the advanced persistent threats. And Prime Night, with the quality of some candidates, I'm surprised America is still standing. Yeah, I mean, no shit. Health and child care, character, integrity, and respect. Shannon believes our elected officials should operate to a higher standard. While we should experience a difference of opinions, compromises can be made when you treat people with respect. Conduct yourself with the highest standard. Our leaders never should lie to us, and hold them accountable when they do. They work for us. Okay, so yeah, power third-party voter, yada yada yada. And he's got no endorsements. So, excellent. We can move on. And then we have our final candidate for U.S. Senate from North Carolina, Michelle Lewis. And she wants you to take part in something great. And that is almost heart impossible to read. So she's a former law enforcement officer, United Nations advisor, nonprofit executive. Let's see. Worked on community and police boards in North Carolina, South Carolina, fucking New York, Connecticut. Advisor on the United Nations. She worked on climate science, climate policy, climate finance, and other nonprofits such as the Peace Garden Project. As a law enforcement officer, this is interesting. Worked across the communities in the United States with the U.S. Park Service. She went to Yale School for Environment and Yale Divinity School, so kind of same thing. No AP. Nope. They don't test any of these damn websites, it would seem. And the worst part is some of the incumbents are kind of it's fucking garbage. Let's see. United Methodist Conference ordains. Okay, so she's a minister. Let's see. Okay, she graduated from Manteo High School and her undergraduate degree at Elizabeth City State University. So that's like the Outer Banks. So that was awful to read. Michelle Lewis, you need to fire whoever designed your website for you. All right. And her positions are veterans, houses for all homeless veterans, additional services for veterans who have been in combat and their families, comprehensive criminal justice reform, make pay equitable and standardized pay for law enforcement, demilitarize the police, end qualified immunity, end cash bail for petty offenses and misdemeanors. That's dangerous. Create a national registry for abusive cops. Economics. Create economics for black communities, rural communities. Small business incentives for rural and black communities. Education. Teachers all paid a living wage. Parental involvement in education. Students must have freedom to pursue their dreams. Environment. As a passionate environmentalist and former park ranger. There we go. Low carbon future, going for net zero. Agricultural industry reform. Polluters to clean communities they've harmed and pay restitution. Healthcare. Ensure mental health care access. Greater access for maternity care. Women and men have obtained access to reproductive health care services. Okay, Second Amendment. Responsible firearm owner and former Leo. It's important to maintain citizens' right to bear arms. Sensible gun legislation. Keep children and community safe. Universal background checks. As an educator, pastor, and builder of bridges, doesn't discriminate against boilerplate. And no endorsements. So, Prime Night sounds like a from World War I about a messenger pigeon. Oh, cher ami. Yeah. Action pigeon. All right. Well, that was a slog. Does English and Espanol, but no en français. What the hell with that? So, just as a wrap up, gonna do kind of a quick drive through fundraising. And I'm just going to simplify it. So we're going to keep it with total raised. And I'm just going to say who the most is. So in Iowa, Grassley has the largest total. In Kansas, Jerry Moran has well outraised Michael Stewart, who didn't even have a campaign website. Oh, no need to apologize. This is a lot of boilerplate kind of stuff, but I set out to do the primer, so I'm doing the primer, and it's going to be boring as hell. And I'm okay with that. So Kentucky, obviously Rand Paul. Louisiana, John Kennedy. John N. Kennedy, not to be confused with John effing Kennedy. Maryland, Van Hollen, because the Republican Party of Maryland is a fucking joke. Missouri, it looks like Lucas Kuntz, who doesn't have a campaign website, has raised the most. And then Eric Schmidt, Vicky Holtzler, no campaign website. Trudy Bush. Yeah, this is interesting. Because the candidates who've raised the most money, a lot of them didn't have any campaign websites. That's really bizarre. Unless this is so backwards it didn't go through the primary process and weed people out. Lucas Kuntz. Kunce. So. And of course, Chuck fucking Schumer has the most. What did our hero Joe Pinion raise total? 0.3 million. And the poor man has no chance, but damn. And hello, messed up website. Sherry Beasley has outraised Ted Budd. And in New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan has dominated over Chuck Morris, Kevin Smith, and Don Bolduc. So that is, fortunately for everyone, kind of the end of the road. At least for that. We'll go through some of the comments here. All right. The AP, he finds it pretty fascinating, extremely curious about the American political system. And Prime Night, Bleach, I've been pointing out all the stains Senate picks, needs a good washing. Yeah, Prime, you missed last night with the Senate candidate, and it was just her giant hands being shown. That was special. Let's see. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it could be Kuntz, but I prefer Kuntz for obvious reasons. And AP gonna compile the most sexually suggestive Senate candidate names for election night. Absolutely. I mean, at least it wasn't Manos Hands of Fate. I mean, let's be honest. So, I think this is a good note to wrap up on. You see why I be the one? Of course you're a man of culture. You love Mystery Science Theater. I mean, if you don't, get the fuck off of my stream. So, I will wrap this up, and just thinking out loud, if you all would be interested in kind of a prediction and recap stream next week, because after tomorrow's stream, I'm going to take a break for a couple days and rest my voice. So, Earl, the real question is, Crow or Tom Servo? Spelled with an H for Tom. All right, well, I appreciate everybody for stopping in. It's been a hell of a time. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bleach out. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.